Handmaid's Tale. Handmaid's Tale episodes 2 to 4.
Yes.
What are they called?
So the episodes were birthday, 2 words, late, and Nolite bastardes Carborundorum.
Which means?
Something like let the bastards.
Don't let the bastards get you down.
Grind you.
Yeah.
Don't let the bastards grind you down.
Grind you down. That's what he said. So those 3 episodes were the first 2 were episode 2 and 3 were directed again by Reed Morano, who also directed the first episode, and those were written by Bruce Miller. And the episode 4 was actually directed by Bruce Miller, who has done Fargo and Broadchurch and Outlander, to name 3 series he's worked on.
Look at that.
And Leila Gerstein has written episode 4, so the Bastardly episode.
Yeah.
And she has done, among other stuff, The O.C., Heart of Dixie, and Gossip Girl.
Okay. And what happens in these episodes?
Yeah. Well, basically,
a lot.
Actually,
that's also something which stands out in the series. There's relentlessly subplots and.
I discuss what happened.
Yeah.
I also wanted to take it straight into to what I liked, because we see more about a little bit more about what happened. You know, so for example, we see Moira and Jesus, what's Offred's name?
Why is her name? Elizabeth Moss.
Yes.
Oh, you mean the actress? You mean her name before she was called
her
her
name. Anyway, Offred. Then you see them going for a run, and then they want to order a coffee, and then the girl who used to work there is not there, but some douchebag is there, and then all of a sudden they cannot use their card. It was not accepted, and the guy's being really rude and calls them sluts and things like that. Even while they were running there, I think they were called sluts. Whatever.
No, they were not called. They were frowned upon by another lady, because
everybody's staring at them. Yeah.
Because she was running around with cleavage. She was doing a run.
Cleavage, not.
It was not.
Come on.
But that's the thing.
But she was really not showing anything.
But that's the thing. That's what I wanted to show. She was saying in the beginning, we should have seen this coming. It never happened suddenly. These big changes in society, but it's slowly.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's
so
true.
one of these things. There's one of these things where hints of that society was becoming at least more conservative.
Yes, that's
a lot more conservative.
Yes. So anyway, then the cards don't work, and then they find out that women are not able to use their bank accounts anymore. Only men
and have
can.
A job.
That happens later. Well, I was getting to that. That's okay. So then only a man can access those funds. So then, later we see, like you said, all the women getting fired at the office place, and then the manager says it's the law, there's nothing he can do about it. So all the women are told to leave because they're not allowed to have a job anymore. We also see in a flashback then that Moira and Offred go to a rally, where they demonstrate the new system against the new system, and then they not only are shot on, but they start using explosives and tanks and everything. They don't care, they start killing people, they go crazy. So the regime is quite tough. We also see the one-eyed girl. Giving birth. That's an interesting scene.
That's another. Is it the same?
So it's episode 1. No, that's actually
episode 2. I think
that's actually 2. Yeah, you see giving birth, and I mean, there's so much that happened in those episodes. So let's not fully recap everything, but there's really a lot that happens in this episode. And one of the things I like is to comment on those flashbacks that we see. The TV show Lost has really done sort of reinvented, I think, the flashbacks, basically, where they show. Have you seen Lost? Yeah, where they show the people on the plane and what their life was like
former life
before the plane crash.
Yeah.
And after that, sort of became a gimmick, and everybody and their mother started using flashbacks, and some of those flashbacks seemed forced or not really adding anything.
Yeah.
I think The Leftovers has done flashbacks in a brilliant way as well, and I think this TV show, doing the flashbacks, showing what life was like before, showing how the change was, like Roger said, subtle, but it happened. The change happened slowly, and showed basically what the world has become. Since, since the sons of Jacob have taken over.
Yeah.
So there's one thing I really have to commend the showrunners and the writers, the way they use flashbacks. That's really, really
I mean, they're also obviously using it as creating strong parallels between what happened before and what she's going through now, because when the one-eyed girl gives birth, you see it intercut with flashbacks to her birth. But then they give other hints that at that time it was already the infertility problem already was rising a lot. When she got her first child, so the child she
that scene in the hospital was.
And the lady steal the baby.
That's another hit, like saying like people became very desperate. It's kind of like this children of man panic. Although I think
it is the same kind of
same kind
trope,
of
isn't it? It's the same
science fiction trope. Although of course here in this world there's still women. There are some women are more fertile than others, or very much more fertile.
Where some men are less sterile than others.
But that's also what I think, that's what you see, like the intercuts and the flashbacks are like they carry the same themes over into the current time which is played out, and they reflect on each other, and they also show, I think, how Offred tries to understand. I mean, this is normal for everybody. Everybody tries to understand things from out of their past, but it's really nice to see that, like, she tries to understand also what she went through and tries to reflect on it, what her current state is, even if it's like one of the worst things you can be in as a position in that society being forced into. She still finds light in her past to see, a little bit more light in her, in the current times, which is actually the end of episode 4, where she finds even within that society there are sort of little gifts.
Something she can hold on to.
Something she can hold on to, and it's not actually she barely talks about finding her own child in any of these episodes. It plays on the background, obviously, because it started in episode 1, but it's more about also her surviving that world, starting to survive that world and understand that world on other.
I think she's at this point she's feeling out what the rules are and what rules she can break. So I think that would be natural in that situation to work out where you can manipulate things before working out what probably is her ultimate goal, is finding her kid, right?
But that's also where the paranoia comes in. Where I think that they portrayed it very well. Is you really don't know who you can trust. So from even off Glen, before she is taken, in the beginning you don't trust her. You know what I mean? Because they play them off each other, so that you don't trust anyone. The driver, seems helpful, but we also don't know if you can trust him. Even, Waterford, even him, when he asks her to play Scrabble, you're also still not sure, like, okay, what is his deal? Is he going to get Offred killed, or is he dangerous, or is he genuinely trying to connect with her? The new Afghan, immediately you don't trust her, because I think they don't want you to trust her, but maybe she's not as bad as she seemed, because she really seems like, the new Afghan.
She's obnoxious, isn't she?
Definitely, so things like that.
But in the beginning that was the same with the other one.
Of course.
So it keeps perpetuating. Which also is in the end of the episode 4, like she realizes, she says with the Latin phrase, like it's a sign from an other Offred, so she's starting to think there must have been so many like me before, or there will be after. I'm part of that.
Yeah,
It also seems to be like sort of an acknowledgement not only of her own struggle, but of the struggle of everybody.
But I also think that it culminates sort of with like the paranoia she has against the doctor, you know, when he sort of offers, you know, to impregnate her, you know, like.
Was this also played for sort of, you know, dark comedy? Because
there was a bit of comedy in it.
This series does try to go there something, which I find also very brave.
Yeah, but also his voice already, I was like, you know, who is this guy? You know, like, his voice already is sort of like funny, and then when you see him, I don't know, it was sort of like sort of undercurrent of sort of like dark humor in that scene, definitely. But you also know if you can trust him, because for all we know, when she says yes, do it, you know, then he presses a button and the eye comes in and takes her. You know what I mean? Like you really don't know.
And there could also be just a very egoistic thing. He just wants to have sex.
Exactly. All
and
this,
like, and that is the great thing of a series, and also of this series. It works out. You have so many combating ideas at the same time. When just one scene plays out, which I suppose is good storytelling and
absolutely.
TV series.
And I love what they do with the dead characters or the absent characters as well. I mean, Moira, we haven't seen her, but you know, but she's such a big part of the show, part of Offred, you know, and I really think that
the flashbacks. And
I think it's very strong. But even the boyfriend, even though in episode 4 we only see like sort of like flashes of them together, you know, hugging and kissing and things like that. But he is also still a fixture in the story, even though we have only seen him alive, I think, in episode 1.
Have we seen them like starting to date at this point?
No.
No, we haven't seen them.
Okay.
No.
It's a bit of a spoiler alert. Okay.
Yeah.
That is another flashback.
Yeah, you know, so it's
you learn something about them which is interesting.
Okay. So that's what I like how they do it, you know, like that's I think one of the things that television, especially now in this golden age of television, has over cinema, you know, is that, you know, you can have these arcs, you know, you can build, you know what I mean, and and then the reward you get for that when it pays off, the payoff, you know, if done well, obviously, you know, then I think that works great, even within episodes, but also within, you know, arcs spanning multiple episodes.
Was there also like a hint of her having had bigger mental problems in her former life, because there is this moment when there is the idea that she's pregnant, but then she's like 4 or 5 days overdue, and then she tells, you know, she has to tell because they will find out obviously that doesn't get pregnant, and then she is being like isolated, and she keeps telling like even the door is open, but she is so sad about where she is at that moment that she just is not, you know, she doesn't put her clothes on anymore, she's depressed, and of course people would say, of course you're being repressed, so you might be, but I think there was also a hint, and also some of the characters said like, we need to bring her to a doctor because we will lose her, and not physically, but we'll lose her mentally. Maybe they know much more about these people, because there's also like one of the aunties, like the older one, she kept saying also like, in your former life you were a slut. So there must have been information they use against people, of course within their high moral standards, so this very fixed but they must have used also information from their former lives to you know, to put them under pressure. Blackmail. It's like there are hints like that she was also within the society which was before not maybe a bit frowned upon, because the lifestyle was I'm just guessing here, her lifestyle was you know, everybody's free and that's good, democracy, but her lifestyle might have been frowned upon already. So these are also referring back to the idea that there were always like tensions in society, even if the society before that was freer, there were always people thinking like in this or that way, and then the, you know, the political swing and completely berserk towards like a fundamentalistic regime. Like they're also after a while they're talking about Europe. You know, the masters talk about Europe. We're losing Europe to some sort of chaos. I don't know if that means...
You get the impression that it's not the same. I mean, that America's like that, and everywhere else is, there might be war in Europe. You're not sure.
Yeah,
there's
but,
also
like,
this
but they're
1984
talking
thing
about
again, like,
no, but they're
is this
talking about
propaganda or
they're
is
talking
Yeah,
about
exactly. Is that nice?
what they're talking about, and I don't think he has a reason to lie to his wife, Waterford. He's talking about that the UN's not happy, and that they're trying to make deals with people don't want to, and that one of the
So there is
aunts,
still a UN.
one of the aunts escaped.
Yeah.
And started talking about what's going on there, and he says, it's lies and hyperbole, but she's probably just telling the truth, and it's frowned upon by the rest of the world. So it is sort of clear, I think, especially in episode 4, that the rest of the world doesn't really agree with what's going on
in the
there
United States,
in the United States.
Yeah.
or 2 states, because they talked about even just 2 stars.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, now we're trying to puzzle, but maybe that's not.
Yeah, so in that sense, I think it's good. But for me, one of the highlights, for the first 4 episodes, I think, one was a shocker when we realized what happened to Afghan, that they did female genital mutilation on her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that
I
was.
forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry to remind you.
That was really painful to
And I love Alexis Bledo. She was great in Mad Men, where she's the mistress of one of the characters.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
As our construction friends have started again, so I
yeah,
apologize.
Lots of construction going on.
So I might have to wrap this up, sort of.
Yeah.
And then the last point was, I think, in the last episode with the Latin, I loved how that played out through the story. I mean, that's a moment for me where actually the narration works. When she talks about.
Because you don't like narration.
Oh, I think it's lazy
Yeah.
often, but in this scene it's perfect when she realizes, first when she talks to the prefect Alfred, and then things like, you're dead, but you're still here, reaching out to me, and things like that. When she talks to Waterford about it, and then it sort of gives her comfort, you know what I mean, like knowing what it means, and then knowing sort of that. That keeps sort of the previous Alfred alive, even though she probably killed herself.
And that she's part of like that continuum.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's very well written and nicely acted.
And Moss's acting just carries on being brilliant, right?
It's
with
really
the close-ups of her face.
Yeah.
And she just says so much without saying a word.
Yeah.
Often.
Exactly.
Right, which is where you don't need the narration, because just her face is so expressive, right?
And if you think about all the suffering, I was like, probably Lars von Trier will try to get her for one of his projects, like some sort of she's like a sort of an extreme form of showing. I mean, sometimes it is close. What I was thinking about, what I was some episodes, like there's so much information, so much happening, and it was like, okay, so where is now the time? It needs to have a little bit of a breather. But sometimes I'm.
Oh, you mean you're not sure how much time has passed?
Yeah, how much time has passed, and also like between the older state of society and the newer state of society.
Actually, this is an interesting thing. I think they show how time has passed by how pregnant the one-eyed girl is sometimes. It's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, that's still a 9-month frame. So.
Yeah, right.
Well, it doesn't bother me personally. You know what I mean? Like I'm okay with not exactly knowing how much time it has passed.
Yeah, and
then I also feel like some of the blanks will be filled in. Along the way.
And even how cruel the world is where she lives in, and how confined it is, when she's actually trying to escape, which is like where her friend also from former life escapes to Boston, but we knows where she gets. Maybe she gets herself killed because she tries to escape. Then they also walk through this part of a city, and it's horrible. Like there's people being killed and hanged everywhere. It's like, I mean, you see this also in the part of town they are, but it's even more extreme. Like.
Okay, so that was Handmaid's Tale, episodes 2, 3 and 4. Cut a little short, but if you are watching Handmaid's Tale, do keep on watching because it's brilliant.